Hey, what's going on, everyone? King here, back for another video. So, in this video, I want to talk about again what was said right at these meetings, what I said and what I didn't say. Reason being, in March of 2022, myself along with my mother, we filed a complaint against the board for various reasons, as well as other individuals that had hand in managing property or had it hand in the legal issues, the infighting and whatnot. But more so because the board was not following rules and following laws. So from the time that the board, the individuals that hold office on the board, from the president, the vice president, the secretary, I was the assistant secretary, the financial secretary and treasurer, and others that were involved. We had these meetings essentially from April 2021 up until I believe it was like November 3rd, 2021, when I was on the board. We had meetings, and the board was served a cease and desist letter uh, roughly around November 16th, 2021. So that's when they took action to remove me from the board. Then proper action. I'm gonna call it what it is. They removed me from the board because they didn't like being told what to do, or I was trying to provide the input and recommendations to, hey, we need to follow the bylaws, we need to adhere to the rules and law, excuse me, the rules and laws, and do things properly in order, calling everybody to these meetings, let them be informed of what's going on, and allow them to be part of the conversation, as well as make help make decisions as to how to utilize the property, how to manage the property, how to live on the property, and whole 9 yards, right? Again, adhering to the rules and laws so that we don't fall victim or fall back into legal action, right? So again, from April of 2021 into November 2021, we had these series of meetings. But in the complaint, the board made they responded saying that, I'm gonna read it part of it. I'm gonna put it on the screen too. In the middle of the page, it says they're answering number 66 and number 67 on page 20 of the complaint served to them. So it says the defendants will show the proper protocols were followed in approvals to place mobile homes according to the bylaws. The body meets a whole every quarter, whatever that means. Body of errors were alerted at each meeting on mobile home approvals. It was also voted at the last meeting, March 12th, 2022. That was a meeting in which they presented to, well, I won't say presented, but they put forth a vote in front of the body of heirs, or those that were in attendance, excuse me, to vote me from the board, without me being notified, without me being aware that they were doing it at the meeting. Matter of fact, it's not even in the agenda. It's not specified in the agenda for this meeting that they were going to vote me off the board. But nonetheless, I move on. So I get asked of the body, even though the list was already stated as several of the meetings. Goes on to say, please be reminded that Plaintiff Cliff King voted against all moving onto the property. What? First of all, to even make this statement, please be reminded means that the court or whoever's reading this will have to have prior notice or prior knowledge of what they just wrote. How can it be when they, you mean tell me that they're going to have prior notice that I voted against moving people on the property? At this point, they didn't even have a lawyer. At this point, when they provide the response to the complaint, they didn't even have a lawyer. So it is what it is. Okay, when asked by the VP to the plaintiff Clifton King IV, why did you vote no? Plaintiff Clifton King stated that he can vote any way he wants to vote. This is true, but why would you want to deny any heir from moving on the land? The plaintiff Clifton King IV voted no, but the majority vote was for approval of the four mentioned heirs to move on the property. He goes on to say, who are the 2/3 majority of the Washington James Association? Since we, the elected board members, took over, we now have an address list, email aliases, and a Facebook page to contact as many heirs as possible. All communications have gone out in the 45 days in advance of each meeting. Board meeting and approved agenda have been done prior to each meeting. Exhibit K. So, first of all, again, they're sitting there having these so-called meetings and establishing these meeting agendas, but yet where's the minutes at? Where's the minutes that I said this? They said that when questioned by the VP, the vice president, why did you vote no? I answered because I could vote that way. Which, but yet, where's the minutes? Provide the minutes. They didn't provide the minutes part of their exhibits in response to the complaint. Matter of fact, when I went to the meeting along with my mother, right, a few weeks ago on March 25th, 2023, the VP said, oh, if I recall correctly, that it was you that said that it was okay for mobile home trailers to be on the property. But yet, where's the minutes? Have you seen my other video where I said, I talked about how I thought the meeting went, or here's what I said. I played a snippet of the meetings from the minutes, or sorry, from the meetings that they said that didn't exist. Their attorney, right, for the board, sent a letter to my attorney saying that there was no such meeting on June 8th of 2021, or there was no meeting on June 30th to 31 of 2021. There was no meeting on October 5th of 2021. But there was, because I was dialed into the meeting via Zoom, and I have recordings of those meetings. But yet, they did not produce the minutes. And they're saying I said this. And in response to complaint, but yet they have not provided evidence. Here it is. I have one of the minutes that they allegedly put forth together, right? And I believe that these are the minutes were voted on and put together after they were served the complaint in March of 2022. I'm gonna read part of it. I'm gonna put it on the screen too. I did blocked out some of the names and that were in the minutes, but I'm getting to it. So the meeting was opened with a prayer by the chaplain. All present, you can see my name there, Clifton King. The president asked for minutes from the last meeting to be read by secretary. Board voted to accept minutes as read. What minutes from what previous meeting? Right? This is the secretary now, and again, the same people that removed me from the board for calling for them to do things properly. Yet clearly they're not. Again, I said before in another meeting, previous meeting, previous video, excuse me, that the board was not doing things proper. That they did not have a set of comprehensive minutes. We talked about the clearing of eyesores on the property. What? What are you talking about, eyesores? You mean clean up the property? Just say that. We voted to give approval for a person to put a trailer on the property. The list of names were given for the advisory committee. All board members agreed to the list. Did we? Did we? Okay. How did we agree? By a vote? What's the vote? Who made the motion? All this stuff needs to be in the minutes, and it's not in the minutes. Again, they voted me from the board. President asked for nominations for Sergeant Arms, and such was given. A suggestion was given. We discussed the process for putting the trailer on the land. Wait a minute. So they discussed it after they approved the trailer to be on the property? Or was this before? Shouldn't it be like, hey, we discussed the process and then we voted? How can you discuss it after you already voted? Does that make any sense? So again, talking about doing things proper, decent, good order. They said I said this and said that. But yet these minutes that they're producing, that they're providing as exhibits, or they turn it over forth to my attorney as part of the discovery, yet incomplete. It's not even comprehensive. It's not even really capturing everything what I said. So in this video, I'm gonna play what I said during the June 22nd, 2021 meeting, and see if this all lines up. See if it all adds up as to what was said and what was not said. Why is it not in the minutes? If everything that I said, right, everything that I made, if I objected to, right, trailers being on the property, I voted no, wouldn't it be in the minutes? Because they said I said it here, but yet they had not identified at what meeting did I say this. At what meeting? The June 22nd, 2021 meeting, or the October 5th, 2021 meeting, or how about the November 3rd, 2021 meeting? Where's those minutes at? They have not produced those minutes. Huh? What about the other meetings we had, like August 31st, 2021, that I have right here in my hand? that they say they put together. They said I said what I say. It said Cliff King will research regarding adding advisory committee as an entity to the Washington James Association. A meeting will be scheduled in 2 weeks. Wait a minute. But in June 22nd, 2022 meeting, they said that the list of names were given for the advisory committee. All board members agreed to the list. But here it is, weeks later, 2 months later, Cliff King will research regarding the advisory committee as an entity to the Washington James Association. A meeting will be scheduled in 2 weeks. Huh? So we approved the list of people to be on the committee, but then 2 months later, I'm going to do the research on what should be the roles and responsibilities of the advisory committee. What sense does that make? I'm so confused right now. But nonetheless, so I'm gonna play this video. Um, it's about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'll come back on and give my comments. Okay, that's how he want to address it. All due respect, I object to the notion that was made, that I'm hiding behind a muted sign, but I will carry on. This is Clifton King the fourth. So basically, on paragraph 4.5, board of directors duties and powers, it says on paragraph A that it spells out who the officers are part of the board. So the president, vice president, the secretary, assistant secretary, treasurer, and the financial secretary. Now, at the point where it says, and such other officers serve on the board, that's in regards to people being appointed as board directors if they hold a position as a committee chairperson. Yes, I would just identify in the paragraph 0.5 that spells out who the officers that are on the board. But I have no objection, as it reads, for the chaplains to giving the opening prayers, closing prayers, or to sit in on the board meetings. Madam President.
Yes.
Yes, this is Clifton. The only issue I think that we have with that, per what you read, that we do not have a clear title to the property, identifying who the owners are. So that may be an issue. But as far as the repairs to her mobile home, I think that's okay, because again, when we had the temporary board, this was an issue when she had some damage to her trailer from the previous storms, and the manager signed off on that, allowing HUD or whoever the contractor were, the workers were, to come on there and make repairs to her home. But as far as moving a trailer on the property, per what you read, saying that we got to have a clear title to the property, or owner named in a title that is up there at the Marion County county clerk's office. Over. Yes, this Clifton King. I concur that HUD should be able to move forward and making repairs to her home, her mobile trailer. But if it requires for her to have a new trailer, I think that needs to be discussed, because there's some legal ramifications about that. Over. Yeah, I oppose, and the reason, if I may explain why I oppose, because again, per what Madam President read, they talked about having the owner named in a title, and also identified about the county clerk's office, and so we don't have a title to the property, right? That's a legal issue. I understand where everybody's coming from, and it's a good thing that she should get a new trailer, but until this is resolved, unfortunately, it spells out in there that you have to have an owner named in the title, and has to be registered. They have to be registered at the county clerk's office. So we're not there yet. We don't have that. Again, this was an issue, I think in 2019, 2020, when her trailer needed repairs, and the managers gave her the permission to go ahead and have the repairs made. But as far as a whole new trailer, I believe that's a legal issue, and she might have to go talk to the Marion County lawyer to talk about this. So I'm just putting it out there,
Okay,
but I object to it. Yeah,
During the date of the amendments, it was also recorded.
yeah,
So,
I'll go back through and I'm not sure how I missed that, but I'll go back through
or I might have missed it.
and look
Yeah.
at that. But if I may add some insight, so again, this is a legal issue. I know everybody's where their hearts and minds are at, but for a legal standpoint, you know, this is air property, so pretty much we got to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to receive the information, hear the information, know what's going on, and have a say as it because this is air property. And so they should have a vote, whether it's 2/3 vote or majority vote. I don't know what that number is, but everybody should have a say in it. Over. And again, one last thing
Yeah.
that we don't have a clear title or deed to the property, identifying who are the heirs and owners of the property. Again, if I may, so in regards to the temporary managers, the three, which should have been five managers, right? We were given authority by the court to make decisions to temporarily manage the property as we see fit, and also during that period of time, we agreed that we would not make the decision for anybody to move on the property until all the legal issues have been resolved and we had a clear title and deed to the property. And that was our decision, but we did have powers granted to us by the court to manage the property into our deadline. And a task we were given was to work on these bylaws, resolve any management issues, such as make sure the taxes are getting paid, and establish a legal entity over their property. So that was our role. So, far as the allowing somebody to move on the property, we felt that that was not our call to make, and that we wanted to make sure that everybody was inclusive, that everybody was included into that conversation and had a say as to what was going on the property because it is air property. Again, we do not have a clear title or deed to the property. I understand where everybody's coming from, but again, if we're going to do things decent and good order and make sure that we're following the laws, that's how it states. Okay, this is
What we do about
AJ.
that?
Are you still talking? Can I interject?
Huh?
May I comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, so just to be clear, this is not about animosity or jealousy. This is about again following the bylaws. So if anybody or everybody feels that me bringing it up is me being bitter and being petty and whatever else, I'm here to address it. That's not the case.
That wasn't brought up. That wasn't brought up because of you.
Okay, I'm just putting it out there, sir. I'm just putting it out there, just to let everybody
Okay,
know.
well, I can explain that.
Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there.
That was not brought up because of you.
Okay, well either way, I'm just letting everybody know. To me, it's not about one family or another family. It's about doing things right. So I got to put it out there because the Browns are my family too. Right? They're my family
What?
too. So I embrace everybody, but it's not about one family versus another family or who's doing what. It was about doing things proper, and everybody was not notified of what was going on. Okay, that's where I'm coming from with this. So all due respect, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. We're gonna get through this, but there's a right way of doing things. Over. Yes, I concur. I have no issues with beautification around trailers and homes. Um, the road is still passable. There's some areas where the repairs that the company made needs to be probably worked over. It needs to be redone because one of the tubings um, that sits on the ground, that's supposed to sit on the ground level of the ground, and the water's supposed to run through it. It's kind of like up on a. It's not flush. It's kind of sitting up. So the water pushed it up to where the water will not flow through the tubing as it sits underneath the road. Uh, but there's parts of the road that need to be repaired. There's parts of the road that need to be covered with more concrete or whatever material that's required. And also the sides of the road where the old growth needs to be cut back. So some of the trees have fallen onto the road. Now the at the back of the road, as it bends to the left, when Marion County or wherever that company was that won the contract, when they did the repairs, they left a lot of the extra material just sitting out there. So it looks kind of junky, it looks kind of not very neat and clean. It probably will cause some issues, in the period of flooding or whatever case may be. But so
I'm not sure what how the backhoe is used. I'm not familiar with that kind of equipment or machinery, but uh, yeah, that area probably needs to be cleaned up, smoothed out, remove all the extra brick or concrete, whatever that material was, remove that from that area so that it is somewhat usable. I mean, it's still drivable, but it might cause some problems in the future. But part of the road, I think, is still drivable, still passable. There needs to be some areas that need to be touched up. I can show you in the videos and photos when I put that together. But again, I'm not familiar with the how to use a backhoe and what can it do. Over. I
Yeah.
mean, there's still a lot of old materials, still remnants of the old highway still there. Um, Now where they filled in areas with the tubing and they put rock there to put soil and brick and concrete, whatever material it was to fill it in. That's still there. That's not really an issue, but that tubing needs to be corrected, needs to be adjusted. I believe that's an engineering problem, a construction problem, and I don't think a backhoe can repair that. But far as the top layer of the roads, um, there's some areas that need to be touched up with concrete or whatever case may be. And yeah, dirt won't solve the issue, but it just needs to be touched up to where it's not causing more craters or yeah. I think it's some of both. Again, my apologies, I'm not really familiar on road construction, but I think it's probably some of both. But because I've seen that they had some brick. There was brick, soil, like the fine dirt, and some of the tar and concrete mixed and rock.
Okay, so there it is. Everything I said during the meeting, and not one thing that I actually said in the meeting is actually captured in the meeting minutes that they submitted either as exhibit to the complaint or they have turned over to my attorney as part of the discovery, as far as us requesting for them, for the board, to produce documentation, produce the evidence of all the meetings, minutes, and agendas, and everything that was discussed during the meetings. Yet nowhere in these minutes does it say exactly what I said. Nowhere in these minutes does it capture the voting. Nowhere in these minutes does it capture what other people have said. Even to the part where the Remember My Family, right? Because you heard them snickering and laughing in the meeting, right? That because what she has said to me, that I was hiding behind my mute button, that I was coming out being a coward. I was being cowardly. I was being afraid. So I unmuted my button and I said, I object to a notion that I'm hiding behind my mute button. And I said what I said. She failed to display proper decorum and etiquette during the meeting. Yet I'm the one that got voted off the board because of what? Because I'm telling the truth, because I'm speaking my mind, because I'm, hey, the bylaw says this, the law says this. I'm breaking things down, and because they don't agree or they don't understand, or they why can't we do this? This is not right. We just spinning our wheels here. Hey, that's not my problem. Everybody needs to know what's going on. Everybody, and was not played in the video because I edited it out. Right, it's just me speaking here. That it was said that the five of us, the five members of the board, right, which consists of who? President, vice president, secretary, assistant secretary. Actually, more than that, five is the financial secretary and the treasurer. So six people can't make decisions alone. There has to be, especially when it comes to moving trailers on property or things that at least outside of their roles of responsibility needs to be voted on and approved by the people. Before they can do that, guess what? They need to have the actual information as to what needs to be done. So those that are requesting to put a trailer on property, guess what? Submit it in writing, allow the board to review it, discuss it, and if it's a viable request, okay, but then pass that on to the people so they can vote and approve as to who can be on the property and how the property should be managed and utilized. That was not done. Nowhere in the meeting was it done. Nowhere in the minutes is it captured that this would happen. Yet it says that we discussed the process for putting a trailer on property, but they said in the response, right, that uh, Linda King voted no, but the majority vote was for approval for the four mentioned heirs to move onto the property. When? At what meeting? Does not say it in here. And then they went on to question who are the 2/3 majority of the Washington James All Association. What do you mean? Don't matter. 2/3 is 2/3. If it's in the bylaws, it's 2/3. So again, they said I said this and Sarah said that. They voted me off the board. They moved me for the board because they didn't like how I was trying to hold them accountable for their actions and for the words and try to stick to the plan, to the agreement, which is the bylaws. All the rules and following laws, we wouldn't be in this mess. But I think I said enough. I think the video speaks for itself. So please like this video, share this video, give a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching. Take care. All right, peace.